three different fundamental stages, such as the ID, the ego, and superego. Now, the ID basically includes the instincts and impulses, and it's the primary source of psychic energy. Pretty much it refers to the pleasure principle. Pretty much it's like you seek pleasure. It's like you aren't thinking about anyone else. You're thinking about how it will benefit you and how you could benefit from it in the long term. Like if you had to choose, make myself happy, or should I try and make someone else happy, you will always go with yourself. And that's pretty much what the ID part basically is like referring to. But it is instilled in everyone from children to kids, toddlers, all the way up until adults. Everybody has it, and you're born with it, since birth. Now, the ego refers to a person's physical self, self-concept, and self-esteem. And it could also be referred to as primary narcissism. And pretty much it's like having that sense of self. Like you're only worried about yourself. Like you think highly of yourself. You're only thinking about yourself. Like everything is just about you. It's like when a person is technically being vain or something like that. Like that's pretty much how the ego would go hand in hand with that. And the superego has the reward and consequence function. It's like when you think of something like before you make a decision, you're going to think about whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, how will this affect me? Will it have a positive outcome or a negative outcome? And that's pretty much what the super ego is. Just basically trying to decide whether it's going to be a positive thing or a negative thing, how it's going to affect you, and things of that nature. But pretty much the ID, ego, and super ego, it all goes hand in hand. Like they all kind of react to each other. They all fall on top of each other. You can't have one without the other. All right, now the psychosexual theory is by Sigmund Freud, and he believed, okay, Sigmund believed in the ID, the ego, and superego, but he also believed that it changes over time as the individual progresses through life. As the individual gets older, they go through different stages. Now, Freud believed that a person goes through 5 basic stages, which is the oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genital. Oral is from birth to 1 year of age, and that deals with the mouth area. Like a child begins to taste and feel things with their mouth. Like that's the source of where they're getting all their information from. Now, anal is from 1 to 3 years of age, and that deals with the anus. It's when they start to be able to eliminate waste and things of that nature. Now, the phallic stage is 3 to 6 years. The focus on that is genitalia. Latency is from age 6 to puberty, and that deals with the sexual feelings. Like, regardless whether it's a girl or a boy, that's where the individual begins to have a sense of, okay, like, I'm getting older now, and they're starting to explore their feelings and such. And the genital state is from puberty all the way up until death, and that's basically when your sexual interest is at its peak. That's when you pretty much know, like you're going to find ways to fulfill your sexual desires and things of that nature. Okay, now the psychosocial theory by Erik Erikson. The psychosocial theory claims individuals are shaped and react to their environment. So he believes that things around you and the people around you shape who you are. Like he believes that in each one of these stages, that a person is actually going through, different points of interest. So I should say, okay, there are 8 stages. It's trust versus mistrust, anatomy versus shame, initiative versus guilt, industry versus inferiority, identity versus role confusion, intimacy versus isolation, generativity versus stagnation. Pretty much each of these psychosocial crises goes hand in hand with a virtue and a age limit. So pretty much through each stage of life has an age limit, and it basically tells you like approximately what the psychosocial crises will be and the virtue that a person will like typically go through. Now, for the cognitive development by Jean Piaget, Piaget believed that intelligence was a fixed trait and regarded cognitive development as a process which occurs due to biological maturation and interaction with the environment. Now, he believed in these four stages: the sensory motor stage, pre-operational stage, concrete operational stage, and formal operational stage. Now, the cognitive development has two different forms, one by Jean Piaget and one by Lev Vygotsky. Now, for Lev Vygotsky, he stresses the fundamental role of social interaction in the development of cognition, also the impact of culture, and pretty much, the impact of your family, pretty much such as when you are being raised, the type of culture that you're being brought up in impacts the way that you see things, impacts your way of life. It impacts you because you're going to go based off your culture. You're going to go based off what you've been told. So your family are going to distill certain traits in you, and you're going to grow up believing that, and it varies from culture to culture. And he also created the zone of proximal development, and that's basically just saying that a person can get so much information on their own,